When we consider often what policy is, often it involves a large toolbar of what the government can do to respond to public problems. These tools can include things like the government giving tax breaks to things like corporations to have them move to a certain area in the hope of job creation. They provide subsidies to aid certain sectors. Think about farmers. Many farmers were given subsidies to deal with flooding. Some farmers were even subsidized to not farm. Think about the ethanol production. A lot of farmers wanted to start growing corn to create essentially this green biofuel, but by them producing lots and lots of corn, it dropped the price of corn. So what did the government do? It subsidized farmers to not farm corn and to produce other things, and ultimately stabilize the price of corn. Very often, the government creates regulations, rules, guidelines, benchmarks, again, to curb behavior. It can educate the public, publicizing certain issues, think of PSAs. It can reframe issues and ultimately help the public to think about them. It can offer direct services like the military, police, and fire protection. And ultimately, it can offer market incentives. Think of these things as like monetary or near monetary things that we offer corporations to reduce things like pollution. How then are problems addressed in society? As we mentioned before, there are two different avenues, the public sphere and the private sphere. When we consider private action, this involves individuals and often corporations and businesses that act individually. Between them, there's very little coordination and there's little thought about public well-being. Ultimately, people have their own liberty and their own individual rights to pursue their own interests. Yet the government can work opposite to the private sector. The government can set policies that require people and organizations to act collectively, ultimately overcoming the collective action problem. The government itself can focus on public well-being through its actions, and ultimately the actions taken by the government can cause people or force them to comply with the law.